track, everyone. So this is track 1 in English. You're about to hear 2 valuable testimonials to help you reflect on your own SEO strategies and get inspiration for your own roadmap. Our first testimonial right away is coming with Olaf Seydel, Head of Engagement and Growth at Zeit Online, who will discuss adjusting content and URLs to the new search trends. Welcome, Olaf.
Thank you for having me. Hi. Isn't it great to do that in person again? It feels, sorry for you in the internet, but it's also great to be here in person. So before I start, just a few words. I'm from Zeit Online, which is part of the Zeit publisher house. And we started with a printed newspaper in the 40s. It's very famous, it's a weekly one. And some years later, we started a website, and it has now around about 50 million unique users. And I'm part of the audience department. And me and my team, the team engagement and growth, you could think of us as some kind of in-house consulting agency, consulting every department on the product side and on the newsroom side for increasing meaningful user interactions. And that brings me right back to SEO, because SEO is a huge part of increasing those interactions, and I'm deeply in love with it since 2010. Before I show you what we did last year, I want to start with the results. Here you see the increase of our SEO share on our total traffic. You see it's a pretty steady increase the last year over to this year, and from August 21 to August 22, the share increased by 41%. You could think, okay, that means all the other traffic sources are declining, of course. But the absolute traffic increased by 47%. So it's really a great uplift. So what did we do? On this chart, you see our visibility on Google's first page, mainly focusing on news results. We measure that with the Tree Salute News dashboard, as you see on the water sign. And there, where it's the lowest, you see some bullet points I will talk about in detail later. But just to read it out loud, last year in spring and in summer, we had our topic project, and we built a topic overview, reduced pagination on topic pages. We built so-called KPI modules on most of our topic pages to link to high performers and to interlink those topic pages better. And in our Wired stories, from which we publish a lot to increase our news output, we integrated automated, topical, relevant next reads. So and that what you see here is what happened with our visibility on Google's first page. And you see it correlates heavy with the increase of the SEO share. But as Mael pointed out, and I'm very thankful to him because he explained Google Discover very well, for us publishers, Discover is the other half of what happens with our traffic. For Zeit Online, that means at the moment, Discover is, when you take Discover and search, then Discover is 63% of our traffic. And so it's much more important than search at the moment. But there are similar techniques you can apply. And some smart SEOs, not me, colleagues like Valentin Plätzer from T-Online or John Schieta from Condé Nast, pointed out over the years that for Discover, entities seem to be much more important, and Google's understanding of the topics in your articles seem to be much more important than for search. And as you know, in SEO, we're talking about entities quite a lot the last years, so it's important for search too, but it seems to be much more relevant in Discover for Google to understand which topics do you like, and to present to you the articles Google understands, which relate to those topics a lot, which cover those. So let's look at our Discover performance. you see a similar increase in impressions. So that's the data from Search Console. And to give you a feeling in absolute numbers, in August 22, we had 10 million clicks more in Discover than in August 21. So it's pretty important, pretty huge for us. And as you saw on the other chart here, when I had, wait a minute, there, the frame, what we did was we optimized our topic-relevant internal linking. And so it's near to think it had a positive impact on Discover. So let's see what we did to achieve those results. First, we built a topic overview, and you have to imagine when you wanted to browse through topics at Zeit Online, you had to go to an article, scroll down to the bottom of that article and click on a tag link. That's where topics happened. They weren't interlinked, you didn't have any kind of overview. Of course, you could Google them. Then we thought, okay, we need for users and for bots to make it more accessible. And so here is the top of our topic overviews. You see we have different teaser elements, the ones for the most important topics, the ones our newsroom feels are the most important in current times are at the top, and they get a huge teaser element which links to the topic page from the title, and below that are the 3 most recent articles to those topics. We have 4 of them on that page, but we could do more or less. And then below that you see those letters. They link to overviews 2 by alphabet. Yeah, we thought, okay, is it something Google will look at? Is it something users will use? I can say it's nothing they hammer down but they look at it regularly. What was very important for us is when we don't want to waste too much crawl budget on it. So when you click on A, you really get all topics starting with an A. You don't have to go through pagination. I mean, which human wants to click on pagination? I don't know. Maybe someone from ad sales. I know nobody. And I guess it's the same for bots. You just have to be careful if your site is still fast enough with 1,000 items on it. So below that, our editorial SEO team has the possibility to curate those lists too. We call those ranking lists, and they use it. For example, the second one, the topical frame is the most searched for political parties in Germany, and below that we link to the topic pages about them on our site. And what was also very important for me is we can use those elements on every link hub we have. So when there's an election and we have a topic page regarding the election, we can use those to show, to link to the topic pages to every party or every topic that's important in that election. Yeah, and you know, when you want to use that to direct your internal PageRank to your articles, what's missing? The links to the overview. And yeah, we added quite a few of them too. We link to it from the top of the homepage. We link to it from the bottom of every article. We link to it from the bottom of every topic page, and the most important topic pages are curated again by our editorial SEO team, and there is a link on the top to the overview. So let's, of course, we used Botify to look what it did. And here you see the increase of PageRank to articles linked from topic pages, and it increased. Of course, you can say, it increased only a little bit, but you saw the results, and of course, that shows we can still do better and clean up some more. What we cleaned up in the project was our pagination. You see, as I said, I don't know anybody who wants to click on pagination, and Googlebot is working himself pretty hard crawling those. So we thought, okay, we have a lot of them, can we reduce them? And the first thing that came to mind is, will they still be fast and renderable in a reasonable amount of time if we just add the same amount on items? So instead of 25 items, we now link to 50 items. And I studied theology, not math, but I guess we killed nearly half our pagination pages. And with Botify, we could also look, what did that do? And so here you see from log analyzers that Googlebot started to crawl a lot of 404 pages from those paginated pages. And after some time, it crawled them less and started to crawl topic pages it hadn't crawled before in a very long time. So it seems we set some crawl budget free that Google used and learned more about the topics in our articles. We also built those KPI modules I talked about. We have those on our homepage too. The editorial team calls them beloved articles. They are sorted by visits, by subscriptions, and by comments. And on topic pages, we added more topic pages, so kind of related topics. So we started with this. We not only link more to high performers, but we also interlink our topic pages. And it's good that we be able to do that with Elasticsearch now, because our old system we had for that could do that for, I guess, 5 sites, and now we have those on 30,000 pages. And we did the automatic next reads in our Wired stories. I'm not sure if everybody knows Wired stories, so when your newsroom wants to have more output, but they don't have enough editors to write all those huge amounts of output, you can go to an agency and you can get stories from there and publish them. And we do that quite a lot, and but nobody looks at them anymore in-house. We don't enhance them manually. So to get useful relateds on them is something you have to do automatically. And we built this next read element and automated it. And we use the related API from Retresco, a German natural language company. And you see this article is about the FC Bayern München, but not about football per se. It's about their special edition uniform for the Wiesn, the Oktoberfest. Yeah, in Germany it's that season of the year again. So there's a lot talk about it. And the system looks for how important the entities in those articles are, and looks what recent articles our newsroom had produced with the same relevancy to those entities. And so they link to this Oktoberfest articles from our own newsroom. Again, something where we enhanced topic-relevant linking. Yes, that went quite much more fast than as I practiced. I hope I didn't talk too fast. I already showed you the results, so what can I show you too? What we have planned next. And so we are working on reducing a whole lot of article duplicates. You see, our comment section is pretty old, and it generates thousands of duplicates of our articles at the moment because it's progressive enhanced with query parameters. And in Botify we can see that Google is crawling those nearly as often as the original article URLs, so it's a good action to get rid of them. Another thing we can do with Botify pretty good and pretty easy is segment our broken links and then go to every department which is responsible for caring for those links, like Some links have to be fixed by one of the engineering teams. Some links have to be fixed by ad sales. Some have to be fixed by the newsroom. And with Botify, we can dive deep into it, can help them prioritize which ones to fix first and how to fix them. Then, of course, we are working on bulk deleting low-performing Wired articles. You see, we are not good in deleting stuff. We are trying, and so we have a lot of Wired articles on our site. And I wouldn't want to delete them when they are old, because old Wired articles can still have visibility. So I want to look at performance and delete them regarding to their performance. And when we build that, we can also use it for our own articles, which we would never delete because of transparency reasons, but we could link to them less or drive them to another subdomain, perhaps. And last but not least, I guess it's the same here in France as everywhere in Germany. Paid content is a very successful business model for a lot of publishers. And for us too, it's the most important one. So for years, we looked at how to use visibility to drive the most traffic. And now we are just starting to look which topics convert best, even if they don't bring the most traffic, but which of them are the most subscription friendly, and drive visibility to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Well, good thing is we have time for a few questions from the audience. First question I have is, you've gotten some great results so far. What is the timeline in which you review how activities are performing in audience search and then pivoting, if needed, to other strategies? Monthly, quarterly? What's the regularity?
I would say both, and I would add daily and yearly, because it really depends on the product you are working on and the action you are looking at. When you look at news, it sometimes makes sense to have the short time evaluation, where you look, okay, what worked yesterday compared to today. But also looking at this, what we achieved, it really became clear looking at it after a year. So we saw it was stable.
So it really depends on what you're looking at.
Yes.
Great. How do you communicate and tie in these activities to performance when working with executives? Sorry.
In Germany, we have a saying. It's "Steter Tropfen höhlt den Stein," which means something like "steady dripping wears a stone." So we talk about that all the time at every opportunity. And some years ago, we started our own engagement and growth reviews, where we, once per month, we look at our KPIs and how they progressed. And after that, someone responsible for a product or an action will show that to everyone who's interested. And of course, we use that to show how our SEO traffic is increasing and why it is or why it's going down, and to have this kind of broad knowledge in the whole company.
I'm kind of tempted to ask you a question that was asked to Maël before you, since we're talking media. What are your thoughts on the fact that search trends influence what journalists write about? Is it also something you're seeing, and how do you address that?
At Zeit Online, we first have the approach that we don't look at the search trends first. Our editors have the saying what they think is relevant from a journalistic point of view. And then our editorial SEO team looks to make what the editors want to write the most visible it can get for people who want to read that. Of course, over the years, search trends helped to inform the newsroom too. And sometimes they see, okay, that's something the masses really care for. Let's put more effort into it and write more about it. But we are always journalistic opinion first and search trends second.
Right, okay, thank you. Well, you kind of mentioned that in your conclusion, but maybe just go a bit deeper in it. As far as trending topics and news are concerned, how do you decide when to remove old or low-performing content, and how do you measure the results of that in combination with other pages?
So, yeah, as I mentioned, we have no ongoing process at the moment for that. We want to build that. In the last years, we did that manually, bulk deleting a lot of low-performing Wired articles, and we looked at how the Google bot behaved after that, like I showed you with the paginated pages. And for us, we said we look at thresholds and how much traffic did they do in 1 year, and is it really something we want to keep? And for our own articles, of course, we have journalistic standards and transparency. So you will always find articles from 1946 on our website because they have to be there. Everything Die Zeit or Zeit Online wrote and writes has to be there and has to be accessible in some way. But of course, you can make some low performers less accessible than others.
Right. Another question that we have, which is much more business oriented, how much of the revenue do you attribute to SEO?
Not to be ashamed, we don't attribute any revenue at the moment to those measures
Right.
because we have different business models, and some of them can't really measure which pages and which page impression drives the most revenue for them. So to start at the traffic source and say, okay, what does that do for that? There is like a void between the product people don't know, and so we look at things like engagement and growth.
Okay. Next question. I'm just rushing in a bit, so we have time to cover them all. What is your strategy when it comes to reducing the URLs? 410 status, 404 status, no index?
When it's possible, we would use 410 status code, but the paginated pages, of course, could come back when we write more, so we left them on 404. And yeah, when it's our own articles, I can't do either of those. I just can link to them less or try out what happens when I no-index them. Does it change something in the Google bot behavior and stuff like that?
Okay. There are debates about how to handle pagination. I think this goes back to what you shared earlier. Some are for no index on page 2, 3, etc., with canonical to page 1. Some index page 2, 3, etc. What about you?
They all have a canonical pointing to themselves and not to page 1. We no index from page 2 onward. And I hear often that when Google started to proclaim that they might not look at those anymore, and you see they look at those still. So many news publishers started to put all the pagination on index, but nearly no one could tell me what that made. What was that helpful or not? We recently no-indexed in one of our classifieds the pagination for their items, and the visibility of those items increased. So for me, it's still something we have to test more and look at it more. I hear some other news SEOs say it's pretty good to have the first few paginated pages indexed because it makes the article lifetime on Google longer. But I have to see for myself with our own articles before I would implement that in scale.
All right. Can you tell us a bit more about your SEO organization?
Yeah, we, as I said earlier, we are like an in-house consulting agency, and we are not just doing SEO. I do mainly SEO, but my colleagues are also very good data analysts that look at the whole funnel for different products and make recommendations there. But over the time, when I was the first one at Zeit Online who had SEO in his title when I started 9 years ago, and so my mission was to make everyone an SEO. Like Maël said in the last session, it was similar to us. So now we have, I guess, 6 people in the newsroom who do SEO just for the newsroom and help them do it on a daily basis. And of course, in the product management for a job board or the study offerings, we have product management people who know SEO and who consult us when they are not sure, but they are doing SEO, of course.
Right. And one last question. How did you measure the visibility increasing? Do you think it's more related to content optimization, or do the technical actions also have to do with it?
It's both. So I would say when you have a large page like ours, you can do a lot just with technical stuff. Our internal linking is like having the Star Destroyer from Star Wars coming on and pointing at something. So that's pretty huge. And as we see with Botify, we clean up a lot of crawl budget we spend on not so important pages. But of course, it only amplifies the content, which has to be good. If there's content that nobody searches for or nobody's interested in, you can do all the technical things you want, it won't be visible.
Right. Thank you so much, Olaf, for sharing all these insights with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.